It is playoff day numero. Well, we'll call it uno because we got the three gamer. We'll have a three gamer uh, next week too, so that'll be good. And we got the fresh new playoff shirt in for the game today. That's right, it's playoff time. So we'll see what kind of shape I end up in by the end of this day. But so yeah, we'll see. And then we got to check. I mean, it was a battle yesterday, boys. Like we were checking news on the early game. Early game, we got everything right. Now, I mean, Jalen Buckley, woo. But that middle game, Cortez Bram, I got that info with like 2 minutes left before the game started that he was out. We got the DeRozier's news. I got Sutton Smith in one team because I couldn't get him out, because I put him in over DeRozier's. Like I ended up finishing. I think I finished top 10 in the afternoon and late because I ended up on Mateer. I jumped off of Satane. I mean, I jumped off of Brendan Lewis in my late slate lineup and went to and ended up on John Mateer, and I had Teddy Hoffman paired with CJ Bailey, which Teddy Hoffman came in at under a percent owned, like he was 0.4% or 0.8%. That was my play of the day, guys. Like we didn't have enough people jumping on my play of the day there. I felt like he'd score a touchdown. He did. So that worked out. So yeah. So that was all good. But today is a heck of an interesting day, and y'all are probably going to think that I'm going to end up telling you to play JMU people, but I'm not. In reality, I'm probably going to fade most of that game. Morning, Patrick. Morning. Big day for the boys today. Big day for the boys. I'm glad we're the late game because I'm going to kind of like post my score basically on my DFS teams, and then we're going to see how it ends up as far as the rest of my day, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm just going to enjoy the game. It's nice going into something without expectations. Dillingham, by the way, signed his new extension. I did get word that he was at the holiday party last night. So that's what was coming out last night about him. And then he signed a new 5-year extension to stay at Arizona State today. So that kind of removes him from the Michigan market. I still think PJ Fleck probably the most buttoned up candidate for Michigan to be able to take today. So we'll see, but that's fun off speculation. But today's all about the CFP games, and more than likely Nick Saban saying that none of these teams deserve to be here, yada yada yada. Hell of a good game last night, actually. I was really looked like Oklahoma had it until I thought Mateer played really well in that game. That was the best he's played since the hand injury. FanDuel is impossible today. I'm gonna look at it and we'll go through it. But I'll be honest with you, I have no idea what to do on FanDuel. I tried to build something last night and I just decided I'm not gonna do it. I might just not even play, in honesty. I might not play FanDuel. I do not like it at whatsoever. So I think it's yeah. I like DK. What's funny is I started as a FanDuel only player, probably when was Jameis Winston in college? Is that 2007? Like when it was it would have been Jameis or it would have been like Sammy Watkins playing for, when was he drafted? 2000. So like 2012. Yeah. So you're talking probably like 2013, something like that. So 12 years ago. And then I didn't switch to DK until probably 5 years ago or so. So yeah, it's been a difference, that's for sure. Projections even are weird. I don't even trust projections today. Like you can go with projections, you can look at them. Um, I've looked at them, but I'm not gonna build. It's not like a full slate where you've got 13 games and projections matter. 3 game slate. It's what game gives you the best chance to play it. I think what you're gonna see is Ole Miss stacks. I think you're gonna see Oregon, a lot of Oregon pieces as ancillary pieces, and I think you're going to see a lot of A&M / Miami stuff. How are you going to get different on this slate? Like, who is the low owned sub 10%, sub 5% guy that gets you home? Is the $1,000,000 question here. Or is there a guy on Tulane or is there a guy on JMU that can get you there? Is the question. I am a sick person. Like when it comes to this, so I might have a punt on the JMU side that I might play, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about it in a second. I'm just hitting the last of the news and notes, but I didn't want to not go live and on time. I wanted y'all to go to load in. I'm pumped, man. This thing came in yesterday, literally day before the game. Get the playoff shirt in. I got the sweatshirt, the hoodie. The hoodie's coming. It'll be here right around New Year's, so we'll be out by then. Because by tomorrow we're gonna be out, but I'll get to wear this sucker for tonight. Le'Veon Moss, it sounds like it's gonna play. I don't think I'm super interested. I mean, that game is tough. So if we're breaking down just this Miami A&M game, both lines of scrimmage are going to be the keys. Both offensive lines very good, both defensive lines very good, and both quarterbacks are questionable at best when under fire. They are extremely under fire. And I'm not exactly certain where I want to go. I think this slate is very tough as far as predicting it, right? These are not predictable teams. So we'll go through and we're going to break down each one. But yeah, I'm good now. All right. I just wanted to read through that first. I'm tempted to read through that, but I'm not going to. If I had extra, I would. So let's look at this thing. Now that I got it up, I'm gonna double check my news, make sure I don't have anything crazy. At least I don't have to worry about opt-outs today. I mean, really, like this is the thing, and this is I half feel bad. Like I wish I could almost comment or do something to be able to. All right, Le'Veon Moss is a go for today. Le'Veon Moss himself reported he's going to play. So that limits Ruben Owens' upside, limits Le'Veon Moss. Okay, that one's interesting. Decorian Moore has said he's a go, allegedly. So, Myron, I think that's extremely interesting because I do have a different take on that to an extent. I agree. So we can just start with that because I think this is a lock. I don't think there's any overthinking it. I think if you overthink this, it's the dumbest possible thing you could do. Do not. Oh, good God. Have y'all seen the opt out? I just got the opt out list from Clemson's bowl game, and good gravy. It's like half the roster. Okay. I don't just sorry. I get news and I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. Kewan Lacey. So full transparency, I am playing all single entry today. I am not touching a 150 max because Fear My Turtle and those guys are going to 150 max it, and it's going to be $3,000 they're going to plop in there, and I'm not playing $100 on a 3-game slate trying to get this thing, because you're going to have to nail it. I mean, you're going to have to absolutely nail this thing. Whereas in a single entry, I can get the one low owned play correct and win. So I've got more outs in single entry than I do in this. And I will have one build that is wild. I'm going to admit it. I wouldn't recommend it. I have long struggled on these shorter slates by trying to build too balanced, and I lose upside. So I have 4 kind of teams that I've pre-built, but we're gonna work through it in the entirety of time that we're on this. Because I think do I have 4? Well, I got to build an afternoon game. I'm gonna build a 2-game or 2. I'm probably gonna only end up playing 3 full day slate teams. I don't know what they're gonna be exactly yet, though. I've kind of got an idea, but I don't know. We're going to work through it. So I don't blame you, Meyer. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Now, that's going to present, at least to Dabo's credit, at least he's coming out and saying these guys are all opted out and I don't have to worry about it. So then now I don't end up in a situation where I got Cortez Bram and I got to find out from this Discord telling this Discord who tells me, and this other guy tells me from that, hey, the Cortez Bram's not playing. Like the elites are, news in college football is very slow to trickle out, and you got to almost know somebody to get it. And so it's one of those situations where it's like I wish I was live 5 minutes before that game, because then I can get you all that information. Because to an extent, with all these bowl games, I feel like I'm providing this information and going, "Hey, I'd play Cortez Bram. I feel pretty good about him." Then I get 5 minutes before the game and he's freaking out, and I can't tell y'all, "Hey, swap." Like I can't immediately go. I just have no capability for that, which sucks because I feel like I now gave out bad info, and then I swap, and then now I'm, top 20 in the dang on tournament, and y'all are probably sitting there with a goose egg. It's because 60% of the field had Cortez Bram in it. It was like it was an easy cash once you swap, but that's where I to an extent I feel bad about that. Exactly. I can't do anything about it. Do the best I can with what I got, but with the information I have at the time. But I'd imagine that's how negative or dislikes or whatever come about, but who gives a crap? Like, is what it is. So let's break this thing down. I've delayed enough. I've wasted enough of y'all's time. So on the Miami side, if I was ranking back on today's slate, I think there's a clear top 2, in my opinion. I've debated whether I think Beck should be the 3. I have a gut feeling that this A&M Miami game is the only one that really has a chance to shoot out and be like a very high scoring game between both teams and push each other. I think Beck has a chance to throw for 300 and multiple scores? Yes. He's going to have 0 rushing, though. And everybody else on this slate has rushing upside, every other quarterback. So it's almost like Beck has the lowest floor and the lowest ceiling. I don't know that really makes sense, but I would rank Retzlaff last for me. I probably put Barnett right ahead of Retzlaff, if I'm being honest with myself, even though I have a want to put Barnett up a little bit higher. I don't particularly like Dante Moore today. I don't think he needs to run. I think this game screams low scoring to me. I like the under in the JMU Oregon game. And I think I want to put Beck 3. But man, does it feel uncomfortable. Will I have a Beck team? Maybe. Um, like I said, we're gonna build 3 teams. Do I want Beck on one of 3? I kinda do, but I kinda don't. In reality, I probably like Chambliss 1, Reed 2. It's probably my favorite 2 there. So if we're talking quarterback wise, I'm probably going to end up playing Marshall Reed and Trinidad Chambliss. And I don't know that Chambliss isn't a lock button for me unless I decide that I want to play a Reed Beck um, game stack. But I think that's just stupid on that part because Chambliss has such a high floor from his run. He hasn't run at all lately. And I'd imagine that Chambliss is going to run and pass. And remember, the last time these two teams played, Chambliss is going to be the highest owned quarterback, rightfully so. The last time they played, it was he threw for 300 and ran for 100. So he dropped a 40 burger on Tulane the last time. The likelihood he drops 30 is extremely high, and no other quarterback has the ceiling that Chambliss has. So Chambliss reality should come in about 70%, if I was to guess, maybe 80%. And Reed probably comes in the 40 range, 50 range, with Beck trailing in that 30 range. And then I would expect like more to come in behind him in the teens to 20. And then Retzlaff, and I have zero idea what the actual ownership projection is. I'd expect Retzlaff to come in fairly low, sub 10%. Barnett probably comes in at sub 10%. So I actually do have minimal interest from the ownership perspective on Barnett more than I would think, given the context of the slate. I think there is some upside and some worth to having a late night hammer. Problem is that I don't know who I'd pair him with. I do have a feeling that I would pair him with, but it ain't exactly pretty on the back end. Although there was some talk of Chambliss not playing and Simmons playing. I don't think that's going to happen. So running backs where things get interesting. I'm fully ignoring Tulane. I'm just saying they don't exist on this slate for me. Keywan Lacey, like we talked about, he should be 90% owned. Would not shock me if he is. I'm probably going to go with that. He was massively inefficient in that first Tulane game, but he still racked up 22 points on 68 yards rushing. He's involved in the pass game. He's just a dominant force at the goal line with multiple scores in almost every game. I think you just throw Lacey in, call it a day. They have nothing behind him as far as running backs go. They are absolutely abysmal back there. They don't play anybody else. So just throw Lacey in, throw Chambliss in, throw Reed in, especially in single entry right out the gate. If I was playing one team, this is it on that end. Now, to Myron's point, outside of Lacey, running back is kind of doo-doo. A&M wise, Moss is going to play. That removes Owens for me. I just don't think Owens is going to get enough work by comparison. All of his work kind of comes when he also has not been efficient whatsoever lately. And a lot of his work comes, he split work anyway when it was no Moss with Morrow and Daniels and EJ Smith. I think they still split work. Miami is an absolute force against the run. They're dominant as far as the defensive line goes. They are 7th in the country in yards allowed against on the ground, and they're only giving up about 15 points to opposing running backs. This backfield being split up, I think just is bad. So that's why I struggle with trying to play the Carson Beck angle, because if I play that, I need to play multiple A&M wide receivers. And how does Reed not get there with his mobility if I have to play multiple Reed wide receiver or A&M wide receivers? I think almost the only way to do it is to play Beck and Reed together as a game stack and play Keywan Lacey without Chambliss and hope that Lacey takes the game over and Chambliss somehow doesn't get there. Is it possible that Chambliss scores 20, low 20s? Because he's going to get 20. That's pretty much a guarantee. So is it possible that Chambliss somehow scores 20 points, let's say 21, and we're able to get a Beck ceiling game where he scores 24? I think Barnett is viable. He hasn't worn the brace. He's out of the brace. Yeah, no brace for Barnett. He's been out for a long time. He's since the Louisville game, I believe he's taken the brace off. Doctors cleared him at the beginning of the season, so that's why he didn't run much early in the year, and that's why Sluka was playing coming off the ACL. He wasn't fully back by that point, and I fully agree with you. I am going to have a Barnett team. That could be a homer play, but I will have one. Maybe that's a FanDuel thing. Maybe I end up with him in a FanDuel team. Maybe that's how I do it. Let me see. I think I'm gonna end up playing one FanDuel team. Why not? Let's just actually lock one in. Let's reserve one just because I don't want to miss it. What do I want to play? What do I want to play? There is not a good FanDuel tournament today. I'm not playing the $9. Do I want to play the $9 150? I'm not 150 max in this thing. So that's why I like the Pop Pass. Pop Pass is a good little tournament today. I think I'm going to play the $5 single entry on FanDuel. So I just got to remember to actually save this team this time, because last time we did this and I built the freaking team. Yeah, I ended up, like, last weekend, I built that FanDuel team and I forgot to hit save for the Army Navy game. So let's try to hit save this week. That'd probably be a good idea. All right. So I think game stacks here make sense. I prefer it on the Reed side. I think Ole Miss makes a ton of sense. I like stacking that. I think my main DK team is going to be a game stack of the Miami A&M game with an Ole Miss onslaught, and then ignoring the JMU Oregon game, ignoring the Tulane side. I'm ignoring the Tulane side no matter what, because they do not throw the ball to any wide receiver more than 10, 15% of the time. They don't have a guy with more than 30 catches on the season. Their running backs suck. I'm out. Like, I know that the running backs, McClure's been giving me the blade the last couple of weeks. I'm out. JMU side and Oregon side we'll talk about, but mainly on the the 2-game late slate. I think you're going to have to get JMU Oregon exposure, obviously. So I think there's ways to get it, but I think most people are going to attack that game in one way, and I think I'm going to attack it in a different light, personally, on my own end there. So in this one, I think, well, Tulane has a lot of leverage. They have to get there, though. And typically, if they're talking about JMU. I'm sure that Nick Saban's going to just dump on us. God knows. Oh, Lord. Okay. I'm going to, yeah. That's funny. So I wish I could hear this, but I'm just watching Reese Davis say whatever he's going to say. I mean, I respect Dan Lanning so much. I really wish we were playing anybody but Oregon, to be honest with you. I'd rather play every other team in this first round than Oregon. And if we were playing Ole Miss, I'd be at the game. just because I drive to Oxford for that. But so looking at this thing, I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people are going Oregon running back as the second back with Lacey personally, and I probably will have a team that does that. I agree with that. Thank you, Myron. I fully agree with that. I also think that if I was betting in a parlay the two blowout games, I'd bet Tulane to lose by I'd bet Ole Miss to cover, and I'd bet JMU to cover. That's just where I would be. Hey, thank you. They finally actually showed the real thing because the ESPN stat earlier today was first time winning the Sun Belt since they joined in 2022. Yeah, we were ineligible and we would have been in the Sun Belt title game in 2022. 2023, we were ineligible and would have been in the Sun Belt title game. And then in 2024, we weren't that good. In 2025, we would won the daggone Sun Belt title. We should have won it 3 times. Ugh, Rod, that's bold, brother. I feel you on the Tulane side. So Brown Stevens had the one big game against Charlotte. I don't know that I trust that. Like Bohannon's not, he's going to be out. I think Preston's fine. I don't trust him. He's very hit or miss. I don't really care what these guys are saying, to be honest with you. Omari Hayes, I want to like, but I liked him that's Priors from FAU. Like, I think Zacarl Lewis is probably your best punt as far as that goes on this specific team. But I mean, this thing's ugly, man. It's just flat out ugly. Because I honestly was trying to find a 3K crapper. I might end up. I hate that I'm going to say this. I'll be honest with you. I hate it. I might end up punting with Trey Shackelford on a team, which you're going to see this team in a second, because I think I want to play this specific team in this tournament, and I need a 3K crapper, and I don't have one outside of Shackelford, I think. So, yes, I know I'm largely saying I'm going to ignore Tulane, but I think I might end up having to play Tulane on this specific team that I want to build. So, looking at other running back wise, I think most people go to one of the Oregon trio. Whittington is the clear top guy. He's going to get the most work. But Davison gets a ton of work around the goal line. He's got 13 touchdowns on the year. I mean, that's insane. But the carry volume's low. The kid's a load. I know McClure's decent. I don't trust him. He crushed me against North Texas last week. I was off him. A lot of people were on him. I get it. He got me last week. But I can't. I just can't. I think Ole Miss is too good for that. Are they going to try to build up JMU in this segment now, finally, after they crapped on them all week? I think Wayne Knight's viable because game script doesn't matter. And he's going to get 15 carries. They're going to try to slow the game down with him. I think they throw the ball to him a good bit. You've seen in these other games where he has 3 to 6 catches. I would expect another 5 catches out of Wayne in this one. They're going to need him to do that. They're going to need to throw the ball short. And he's realistically one of the best weapons they have. So I would expect Wayne Knight to catch a good few bit of passes. I think he's viable at 6,100, but not necessarily where I'm going. I think people are going to be in on Gerard Pringle, which my guy Mike Bainbridge is in on. He personally is siding with Pringle. I understand that. Pringle's been very, very good in the second half of the year. That's largely been with Fletcher out. A&M's good against the run. I just have a gut feeling with them playing from behind, that they're going to want to put the ball in Mark Fletcher's hands. A&M did struggle early in the season. Yeah, I think Pringle on FanDuel makes a lot more sense. And maybe that's where I end up going on FanDuel. I think Fletcher on DK is a very good value. I love the 3 catches, 3 catches, 3 catches. So he's involved in the pass game. They've kept his workload kind of low late in the year, but neither of these games were really competitive. And we saw 16 carries against SMU, saw 23 carries against Stanford. So I think we start getting more to this early season workload. So I personally, in this lineup, am going to buy Mark Fletcher. The only other option I'd be going down to is De'Aaron Hill, and that's playing the JMU gets blown out angle. And De'Aaron Hill ends up getting some later work, able to rip off something, whatever. But I don't know that I'd buy that. Maybe that's bias. I'm willing to admit that. But this is a team that did dominate Louisville's ground game early in the year. Number 2 run defense in the country. It's been one of the best run defenses. That's not just an aberration of, well, they had an easy schedule this year. They were that top 2 run defense probably each of the, I know the first 2 years under Cignetti, they were a top 2 run defense in the country, top number 1 run defense the second year. When they hosted game day, they were better than the Georgia run defense, giving up like 50 yards a game. So, yeah, they give up explosives here and there on the ground. Which one of these backs is the most explosive? Davison's not explosive to an extent. He's not going to rip off a real long one necessarily. Isaac Brown had 1 long run in that game. It was a 75-yarder late in the 4th quarter. Noah Whittington, not super explosive. He did rip off that 68-yarder against Rutgers early in that game. I did play him that day. That worked out pretty good. But otherwise, look at the carries. He ripped off a 67-yarder. That was against Rutgers. All of these guys aren't having 40-plus carries or 40-plus yard carries in any of these games. These aren't explosive runners. So where do you think the explosives are coming from on this Oregon run offense? Emmanuel Bush is back. I know that might not mean anything to most people. The man is built like with Vince Wilfork. He's huge. He eats up space inside. So Emmanuel Bush being back is a huge deal. He wears number 0. It's hilarious looking. He looks like the Michelin man out there. Man's absolutely huge. So he's just clogging lanes. So I expect that Oregon JMU game to come down to if Alonzo Barnett plays well, JMU has a shot. Morning, David. Morning. Yeah, I know. I've missed you, buddy. I've missed you. You provide such good insight for me. So in my base original number 1 team, I'm playing Mark Fletcher. I think Mark Fletcher's pass catching upside's there. I think the run upside's there. And I want to play him. Of the backs, I prefer Fletcher as my second favorite today, personally. But that's also because I want to play A&M Miami stacks, personally. I'm going to have an extremely difficult time. I think Kewan Lacey's the top back, and it's very hard to get away from. In the same vein, I think it's near impossible to get away from Malachi Toney. If Miami's hanging in this game, and if this game goes well, I want Malachi Toney. So pairing Toney and Fletcher gives me the bring back from my Marcel Reed stuff on the other side. Then we start getting into questions. So that's what we're going to go into right now. Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion. Now, the guy that everybody's forgetting is Ashton Bethel Roman, which I do have interest in. Bethel Roman has been getting better as the year went on. He's been playing more, and that's kind of coincided with Mario Craver uh, losing a little steam. He was pretty spry early in the season. Things have really tilted the way of Concepcion. Concepcion's much safer. Hence, I'm putting him in this team. I do prefer him. I was hoping that I'd get some information of who is the top pass catching option. So Craver and Concepcion are about 50% of the production in this one. I definitely prefer Concepcion of the two. He's been more consistent most of the season, and he's going to end up being the featured weapon. Bethel Roman runs more routes than Craver because he's on the outside. I think he's played pretty well. All three are very viable. I'm more than happy to play any of them. Exactly. That's my thing. I like Bethel Roman as a punt. I probably am going to get some exposure in these lineups because I do like him at 4,100. Like I said, though, my top lineup I am building right here is going to say, I want to play the best plays and I will figure it out after that. Now, there's two ways I think I'm thinking about playing this secondary part right here. I've got two ways that I'm thinking about playing it, and I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go with this yet. I think Bethel Roman is viable in this spot to get you a Marcel Reed double, and that gives you 4,100. You can kind of play around with that at your leisure. I don't think I would go with another Miami guy in that spot. That would be Keelan Marion. We know he burned me against Pitt. It is what it is. I do like Keelan Marion as a player. I think Elijah Lofton's viable at 3,300. He's caught a touchdown in 3 straight. Pretty good little player, but doesn't get a ton of work there. So that's kind of interesting. Miami does not have a 3K crapper punt play, which sucks because I do need a 3K crapper punt play on this one. Same thing. No punt plays here. I wish Terry Bussey was 3K. I'd have some interest if he was, because he kind of takes on the 4th wide receiver role. Tulane wise, like I said, I'm not extremely interested. If I was, it's only because I need a 3K punt, and it might be Trey Shackelford. What's up, Warren? How are you? Then we get to this. I think you want an Ole Miss wide receiver, if not 2. Now, this is where it gets tricky, specifically in this one. Just like, which I might end up playing 2 of this team, and I might just play 2 variants of this because I actually do have 2 opinions, and I'm extremely split on it at the moment. Yeah, I think I'm going to end up playing 2 variants of this team. So, Ole Miss wise, it is extremely difficult to project who's going to do what on any given week. We've seen Winston Watkins big weeks. 19 points against Citadel, 18 against against Oklahoma. Wow, that was a good game right there. But sporadic usage overall, 3 catches. Maybe there's some floor there you could feel okay with at 3,900. I don't particularly love it. I think most of the field is going to end up on Deuce Alexander, mostly because the last time they played Tulane, he had 4 for 94 and a touchdown. He's gotten some rush attempts, a couple catches a game, pretty much. It's very similar floor. He's 3,300. I do expect Deuce Alexander to garner a good amount of ownership. He's probably going to be in one variant of this team. Stribling, we'll get to. Yeah, I think Retzlaff is going to run. I'm not worried about the last time they played each other. I just think Retzlaff is the lowest option of the bunch. I think it's viable that he ends up with negative rushing yardage or like low rushing yardage. I don't think we see 100 yards rushing or 60 yards rushing or 30 yards maybe. It's hard to buy into Retzlaff. It's very hard. The floor's been there, but the floor's been there against these bad like this is a bad defense, bad defense, bad defense, bad defense, okay defense. So maybe you buy into the Memphis thing. Bad defense, decent defense. I'll give credit. East Carolina, pretty good defense this year. Threw for 347 in that one. That's moderately impressive. Tulsa, bad defense. Ole Miss, I'd say East Carolina and Ole Miss are probably the best two defenses he played all season. He got benched in the Ole Miss game, ran for 51 yards. I could buy into it. Like, you can tell me a story where Retzlaff is a reasonable play. You can tell me a story of that at 7,500. I don't know that I prefer Retzlaff to Beck. Like, I think Beck's more viable. Because if you're fading, you're basically having to fade Reed or Chambliss. I think JMU can keep it close for the first half. I think they keep it close for the first half. I mean, it's basically going to be a run game for the entirety of the first half. You're just trying to keep it tight and stay in the game. I don't know that Barnett's not as viable as Barnett's going to run as much as Retzlaff. Oregon's defense probably better than Ole Miss. I don't know that. I think Retzlaff has more outs. He can throw the ball for more. Oh, that's going to be a question, Rod. That's a question. That's a loaded question, let me tell you. So let's talk Ole Miss wide receivers real quick. I think Wallace is very clearly the top option. He's led the team each of the last 5 weeks in targets, basically. He's been getting a lot of the work on that end. It's very hard not to say that Wallace is the top guy. Now, I've been down this road before because remember, I lock buttoned Harrison Wallace the last time these two teams played. And it absolutely killed me. Got to have a short memory, though. So I am extremely interested. So one build is definitely this, and then I got to find a 3K crapper. I haven't decided who that 3K crapper is yet. I know who I wanted it to be, but that guy's not playing today. So that's one build for sure. I think Stribling's interesting. He has upside. He has big playability all over the field. 4 or 5 catches in each of the last 3. He's going to run routes. I do like Stribling. Had a decent game against Tulane the first time. He's been a guy who's been overpriced most of the season. I actually am interested in Stribling. He can pop a 75-yarder. He's got that big playability. I'm interested there. He's definitely the second favorite option, and I don't mind going down if I have to, because in this instance, you can go this, and you can go Deuce Alexander, and now I've got Ole Miss Onslaught. Yeah. Oh, buddy. Warren, I love that one. So what I said when they said Craver saying, I don't care about the new contract. That doesn't bother me. My favorite part of it's irrelevant to me because Concepcion's probably going to the draft. But I love the fact that they included in there. It makes him the highest paid wide receiver ever at Texas A&M. I don't buy that for a second. I buy that Mike Evans. It should have said that he's the highest paid wide receiver since Mike Evans was at Texas A&M. But I don't think they could say that for reasons of what would have transpired. Yeah, exactly, Warren. He's the highest paid since Mike Evans was there. That's what it is. That's the reality of that situation. We all know what's been going on for the past 20, 30, 40. I mean, since Eric Dickerson and the gold Camaro gate at Texas A&M, we know what's been going on here. Come on, let's be real. That's since Pony Excess, which is a fabulous documentary. If you've never seen the Pony Excess 30 for 30, it is one of the best documentaries for sports ever made. One of the best 30 for 30s, right up there with the U. I intend to be able to watch the Stuart Scott one in the off season. I hear that one's amazing as well. Ole Miss wise, Caden Lee being in the factor, he could be the guy that just ends up doing the Coy Eakin thing from a week ago or 2 weeks ago, where Coy Eakin gave me the blade because I know that Coy Eakin every once in a while is going to pop off. Caden Lee can do the same thing to me. Very well can do the same thing to me. 7 for 77 against Mississippi State. He does that, and it drives me insane. If I play Caden Lee, he's going to suck. If I don't play Caden Lee, he's going to give me the blade. Daquan Wright is back. What role does he play? I don't know. Double-digit games in 4 of the first 5 of the season when healthy. He could be a guy that pops off. I think he's interesting. Caleb Odom, his role is going to diminish now that Wright's back. So I would be most interested in Wallace, Stribling, Alexander, and Wright and Lee. But like I said, it's very similar to Tulane. They spread it around. So that's what kind of scares me. And then we wanted to talk about, let's talk about Oregon. I'm going to save the Dukes for last. Sadiq's the top option. I think he's a better play on FanDuel than he is on DK. He's likely to get the most target volume, but he was banged up in that Washington game. How much do they want to lean on him in this one? If they end up needing to, they will. But I think that's a situation where if you're playing Barnett, you can play into the Sadiq thing. I like Sadiq. I think he's a very talented player. I think he's more of a FanDuel play for me because of the pricing. He's priced way too close to Malachi Toney in this one for me. For my liking, I'd rather just go down to Harrison Wallace, play the Ole Miss guys in this spot. I'd rather play Concepcion. Concepcion's just absolute monster. I mean, you're looking at 5 to 7 catches in this spot, and they're going to need a lean on him pretty heavily. DeCorian Moore, it sounds like, is going to play based on my information. It sounds like he should be back. How much they use him, I don't know. I probably would be a little cautious with that. Was the top option. Still doesn't have 100-yard. I mean, still had top 90 yards in a game. Don't know that this is the spot that he does. If I remember correctly, what did Chris Bell do in that JMU Louisville game? Because Braum, I think we all forget this was a tie game at 14-14 heading into the fourth quarter. And that was a banged up JMU team. Miller Moss threw for 151 yards in that game. I feel like we all forget that. Chris Bell did have 4 for 83 and a touchdown. It was a 64-yard touchdown. Yeah, I think people forget this game, man. Like Colin Lacey had 2 for 12. Miller Moss throws for 151. So the guy who's closest in build, I'll be honest, for that, what I wanted to play in my main team was Harrison Wallace in this spot, and my 3K crapper was going to end up being Evan Stewart. That's who I wanted it to be. He hadn't played all season. I know the talent. I know the player. Player's good. Very good. But he's doubtful, and I think he's out for this game. Sounds like he's not going to play. So that sucks because now I lost my 3K crapper. There is not a 3K crapper on the slate except for Trey Shackelford, which I might end up playing. Or there might be a JMU guy that I punt on. I want to play Harrison Wallace in this spot, and I want a 3K player here. I don't think that's going to end up being my top play because safety reasons on the big coffin corner. There, yeah, Stewart's not playing. Stewart's officially out. He's doubtful, so I doubt he plays. So I'm going to lean that I'm probably going to end up playing this as my top coffin corner entry. I get Chambliss, I get a double stack, and I get Lacey, and I get a full game stack of what I like in the A&M game. Like, yes, would I prefer to play another A&M wide receiver? Probably, but I don't want to get too, yeah. Yeah, there's been some lines. They'll allow some guys to get loose on the back end. That's why I think when we go look at the 2-gamer, I do have some interest specifically on the Oregon side. I like Malik Benson the most. He's just a physical presence. See? Myron's reading my head. I think Benson's the most gifted player as far as physical tools. The guy was absolutely abysmal at Florida State, absolutely abysmal at Alabama. He's the guy who's most likely to pop off, though. I think you see Jeremiah McClellan on the outside. He probably gets a few catches here and there. I think Jamari Johnson is involved. They play a lot of 12 personnel. Justice Lowe, remembers, in the portal. He's gone. I think Gary Bryant is likely to suit up. How much he rotates in, I don't know. DeCorian Moore, I think, is possible, likely to suit up. I think Moore's the most likely. Bryant's the second most likely to suit up. But I still would lean on Benson as being the top guy to play in this offense on the DK standpoint. I will have a Benson team. We're going to see it here in a second because I am going to play it, but I'm going to play it in the low stakes because I'm going to end up playing some JMU side on that team. Now, I did build a Craver team, but I don't like it, in all honesty. Actually, well, we'll look at it. I have a Beck Craver team. We'll play around with some Beck stuff, but I don't think I'm going to end up playing it. But I want to play around with some Beck stuff to see if I end up liking it. I do like Benson, though. So it's possible I end up on Benson for something. I just don't love getting Alexander instead of Wallace. Like, I want a Wallace team. I do want a Wallace team. And I like Sadiq. I like Benson. But I like Sadiq a lot more on FanDuel. So everybody, if they play a JMU wide receiver, is going to go to Braden Wisloski. Wisloski's a talented kid, came over from Maryland, was the all Big Ten punt returner of the year before. Yeah, there's a ton of mouths to feed for Oregon. And I don't know how many of them get fed. I think the running backs are overpriced outside of De'Aaron Hill. I do have interest in De'Aaron Hill. I probably am going to play De'Aaron Hill in one team. I probably will play him in one team, maybe. Depends where I end up landing on some of these other guys. Not quite sure where I want to go on that yet. I haven't decided there. So, Wisloski, I'm not super interested in that play. I know he scored in 4 of 5. It's all his production is touchdown based, though. So I'm not into that play. Personally, Sanchez has become a part-time player, a role player at best. He was a little more involved early in the season, but they spread the ball around a ton. I'm not interested in Sanchez for my money. DeGennaro, bigger target, has had some big pop-off games. Also, not super interested. I was on DeGennaro in that Texas State game that ended up paying out big. but I'm not a DeGennaro guy in this spot personally. Alston, he's a transfer. What he came from Wyoming, I want to say. I think he was at a big team before that. Pretty sure he's. I was interested. I thought Isaiah Alston was going to be a. He was at Iowa State before, or he was at Army. Was he at Army? Hang on, I gotta see where he was because he was at a few. Yeah, he was at Army, then Iowa State, then JMU. I don't know why I came up with Wyoming, but he was at Army before. Hasn't super been involved. Not particularly interested in him as my 3K crapper. Just kind of isn't out there enough. Dupree's going to be out there. He's going to run routes. He drops too many daggone passes for me. I don't like it. Not interested in Collins. If I was 3K crapper punting, it's Logan Kyle. He's on the field a good bit, and he gets a target or two per game. If he finds the box, I end up getting there. So that's where the second team comes in. Do I want Logan Kyle? Because this is where it gets tricky, right? I don't have my 3K Oregon crapper anymore because I wanted it to be Evan Stewart. So now it kind of comes down to, do I want Logan Kyle as my 3K crapper? Like, this team's built. I'm not playing with it, but it's the second version. Do I want Logan Kyle as my 3K crapper, who probably gets work? Or do I want Trey Shackelford? Because if I want to play Harrison Wallace in the Stribling spot, that's the top projected plays at every position, in my opinion. And then I have to play Shackelford. Where's Shackelford? And I don't love it. I'll be honest. I don't love it. But I think Shackelford has more upside than Logan Kyle, but I think the floor is a lot lower. Granted, both of them could easily get donuts. They could both goose. The ceiling is a lot better for Shackelford. If they get blown out in this spot, how much does Shackelford get run because of the rotation with Amari Hayes? The rotation. I have a terrible luck with two-lane wideouts. I'll be honest with you. I have terrible luck with two-lane wideouts. But I do have minimal interest in trying to play that Shackelford angle. It's just, do I want to play Logan Kyle as just a fun little play for me to play it on the back end? Hope he finds the end zone. I'm probably hoping for one catch out of either one. I don't know. I haven't decided on that. That's why I want to kind of build some of these other things, because I don't want to not play this. So this is definitely my top play. Let's start playing around with some other stuff here real quick. So that I know I want to play. I don't have to worry about that. The question is, and then the second way I've kind of built around something is, well, I got to put Barnett in the end game, but let's show this because I actually did build this and I thought it was interesting. Is you still get the problem is with this one is I don't have a 3,800 or less best play. Overall best play 3,800 or less. I want to say Landon Ellis. I'll be honest with you. I do want to say Landon Ellis because I think they're going to have to throw it, but I don't like it. I would bet my money on Deuce Alexander being the best play for 3,800 or less. I don't love it, but I'm going to say that's what I would say. I think he's the most popular play, 3,800 or less. I really do think he's the most popular play. I think Alexander's the most popular. I would say Lofton is fun. Is a different way to get there. But Deuce Alexander's by far the most popular play, 3,800 or less. I would say Landon Ellis is the other way I would go, and that would be my kind of three that I'm most interested in at 3,800 or less. Not super into those, but you're gonna have to get there one way or another. Fletcher. Oh, hang on. Let me put it in this because I'm putting it in this, so I'm gonna just share this. All right, Lacy, Fletcher. I want Chambliss. We're gonna go Barnett because I think there is a possibility for Barnett to get there with his legs. I definitely want Tony. I'm gonna play Concepcion. I'm gonna play Benson. And then that leaves me 4,500, which gives me either Caden Lee or De'Aaron Hill. I would probably play De'Aaron Hill. Yeah, I think Deuce is the best play down there. So that's why. So I think this is a fun way to play it. But then how does Chambliss get there and one of the wide receivers not come with him? It's kind of the problem I have with this team. And then how does A&M play out that only Concepcion gets there? I guess it would mean that Miami A&M somewhat lower scoring. Concepcion catches 2 touchdowns. Reed doesn't do much else. Probably doesn't run the ball. Ends up getting backfilled. You're playing the Oregon gets out in front. De'Aaron Hill scores late. Barnett's playing catch up. Gets there with his legs. That's possible. So I don't hate this. I don't hate this. There is viability in this for me. This is the one that I came up with, though. But how else does it get there? And then how do I not play? Because I had a hard time getting to Davison on that. I don't particularly love Pringle on DK because he doesn't catch passes as much. You could go Le'Veon Moss at 52. I'm not doing showdowns today. I thought about it. I played pretty well last night on Showdown. I was pretty close. I don't know. That's one of those. If I'm playing Showdown today, it's going to be I'm throwing bullets late in the day, just tilt entering stuff. I don't think I'm going to play Showdown. I definitely don't want to play Showdown for Miami A&M because my favorite way to play that, and I'll be honest, I made a team last night for Miami A&M Showdown, and it was Fletcher captain. I'll tell you exactly what the team was because I debated entering it. I don't blame you. I agree with you. I think JMU is going to struggle to score. I've said I don't particularly care what happens from so I will be happy. What makes me happy as a JMU fan in this and an alum in this game is if JMU scores 13 points. Like we score 13 points, I'm probably going to be happy because I don't know that there's a score that Oregon puts up that makes me upset at 13 points. I think that game ends up 31-13. So I had Horton as my captain. Myron. I had Horton captain and all the other pieces that I liked, which was fine. I just didn't have Lottie Brooks, and I needed Mateer captain, which the chalk captain hit. But the reason why I'm not playing the A&M Miami Showdown slate is because what I want to play is Fletcher captain with Tony, and then bringing it back with Marcel Reed with all 3 wide receivers. And I don't think that's viable to win because in order for all 3 wide receivers and Reed to get me there, Reed needs to be the captain. And I can't do that with the Miami guys that I want to play. So I think you'd end up having to play Elijah Lofton probably, and I don't want to play that. I don't think the team I built is capable of winning showdown, if that makes sense. I think Fletcher would have to have 3 touchdowns or something, and it would hurt me too much. Like, I don't think it's possible for Marcel Reed to not be the captain play with the build I made and it get there, if that makes sense. I don't think it can win, so that's why I didn't want to play it. I think I might play this team. I think it's stupid, but I think I might play this team. The other variant that I'm willing to play in this is say like I've debated this being Beck. And if that's Beck, do I think Beck can get there with Fletcher and Tony? I can go 3,300. So I could definitely go. You could go Lofton, actually, and say he catches a touchdown. I think that's viable. So I could go there. And then that gives me like Craver. Or you could go Deuce Alexander here with Craver. But then if Craver and Concepcion, like this is the problem I run into with this team. If Craver and Concepcion get there, I don't think going Lofton makes sense because now you got 3 Miami guys. I don't love that. I think if Craver gets there, you're going to have to like see this is the problem on 3-game showdown. So our 3-game slate. I'm fine with this. The problem I have is if Concepcion and if Craver get there, then Reed has to get there and is probably the play here. Because I don't know that Beck gets there. Tony can get there and Fletcher can get there without Beck getting there. Concepcion and Craver can't get there without this being Marcel Reed. So that being the case, then it feels like Bethel Roman needs to be in play. And if Bethel Roman's in play there, I think you would probably want this to be Craver. Yeah. So what you do I want to play this? I do want to play this to an extent. See, this makes a ton of sense too. I think I'm punting too much if I go with Barnett. I think Barnett's just a bad play. He's just too bad of a play. Do I really want to put my money on Barnett? Then the question is do I want this to be my second big team? Like, if this is my second big team, because it doesn't have the punt, like the true punt play of Shackelford to get Harrison Wallace, it doesn't have. You know what I mean? Like, Harrison Wallace is going to be owned. Deuce Alexander, I think, ends up being heavily owned. And that's how people justify it, because they can play Deuce Alexander here. What is that? Like, what is everybody playing on that? Because I think everybody's going to end up here. I don't think people are playing Fletcher, personally. I think that's how they're differing, because I do think they probably end up with something to this effect. Is that what they end up with? Is this what people are going to play? Like, is this the most popular build? Or I wonder if this ends up being the more popular build. I mean, I know I'm going Stribling. I think it's more viable than Benson. But I also believe in the JMU defense. That what is the ranking on that? Like we're 130th in explosive plays or like allowed on. We give up explosives. We just don't give up average plays down the field. That's the thing. We don't give up explosives. We're number 3 in coverage. So you can't say in one sentence the secondary is absolutely elite, and that's why we don't want to play Dante Moore. Well, I guess so, because you could say that we're not going to give up a lot of plays, but we're going to give up explosives. I guess that's how you would make that viable to an extent. Um, Interesting. All right, hang on. We're gonna plug that in here. I actually do think we're gonna end up playing that. So we're gonna play the Craver team. We'll play the Craver double. I think people actually are gonna end up on CJ Daniels more because he did play his full snap share last time out. So I do get that play. I do get the play. I think that's where people are. I mean, I'm always interested. That's why I'm always asking Myron what everybody else is going to play because I'm genuinely curious. I think I like this a good bit. I do like this a good bit because I get the Reed double, I get the Tony plays, I get the Ole Miss stuff, and then I get an Oregon guy that I would argue that all good, David. Once again, yep. Merry Christmas to you as well. Merry Christmas to you as well, David. Look forward to seeing you next any in the time in the future here. So, Ian, I would argue it depends what your perception of that Oregon offense is, right? And I think it depends on what your perception of the Louisville offense is. That was a healthy Louisville offense. I know how they finished, but Isaac Brown was healthy at the time. Chris Bell was healthy at the time. Miller Moss wasn't perceived as what he was. Remember, that's the team that beat Miami. Miami, we think, is a good defense. And they beat them pretty good. Now the Beck was absolutely terrible, obviously. But, I'm not out here playing Alonzo Barnett and saying that I don't think JMU has a wide receiver on the roster currently as it's constructed that is anywhere near as good as any of them from the last 10 years. I do like D'Air Hill, Michael. I do agree with that. So the reason that I have this lineup built this way, Malik Benson's in it currently. I might end up swapping. At full transparency, I could swap Benson to D'Air Hill in this spot. I very well could. I also think Caden Lee's viable at 4,500, but golly, that dude annoys me. So I think I'm going to play this team. I think playing Harrison Wallace in this spot over Craver is interesting as well. But then that gets you, that's kind of interesting too. If you don't want to buy into the Marcel Reed. But see, if Marcel Reed gets there, he's going to have to drag at least 2. I hate Winston Watkins. The problem is I don't trust any Ole Miss wide receiver. I don't trust Harrison Wallace. I don't trust Deshaun Stribling. I don't trust Caden Lee. I don't trust Daquan Wright. I don't trust Deuce Alexander. I don't trust Winston Watkins. I don't trust any of them. One of them is going to win you the tournament. It's just a matter of which one, and I have no idea. It could be 2 of them. That's why my first build literally has Alexander and Stribling. Yeah. Yeah. So my first build has this team with Concepcion, Alexander, and Stribling. I like both of them. I agree with that. I think so. I think Adam, I think that's a smart I think it's a smart hedge. I think it's a smart hedge. I really do. I don't know what to make the game I have the most questions about and don't know how it plays out is A&M Miami. I think it has the potential to shoot out for various reasons. And I think it also has the capability of the two defensive lines frustrate the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks end up underperforming, and you're sitting there laughing after the first game. The first game has such a wide disparity of what can happen in it. The second game is most likely Ole Miss is scoring points because Tulane's giving them up in bunches in a number of situations. So getting as much Ole Miss as possible, which obviously I built a team with 4 Ole Miss players in it, makes a ton of sense. I think Homer in me, I'm believing that the JMU Oregon game goes under. I'm believing that JMU just tries to hold the football. The only way it doesn't go under in reality is if Alonzo Barnett plays like an idiot, which he has before. I've seen it happen, and he throws picks and they turn him over, and the defense probably scores for Oregon a good bit and puts them in a bad spot. So is it possible? Yes. I think it's very viable that Oregon blows out JMU. I think it's extremely viable. I just hope JMU scores 13 points. That's all I'm hoping for. As a fan wise, if that game is 31-13, I am pumped. I am ecstatic. It sounds terrible, but I'd be stoked. But I'm also not thinking that I'm not going into this thing. I'm going in thinking 31-13 is a great score. I'm happy with that. Anything worse than that, if we score 3 points or 0 points or it's a Liberty, I don't think it's going to be a Liberty-esque game because that Liberty team was flawed as could be. Let's be honest. So I would say that Liberty team was flawed for sure. All right, we're gonna play that. We're gonna play that. How do we play? See, I just don't like this team. I think there's viability. There's ways to play it. Like, how do you get off of? How do you get to like a Davison? It's so hard to get to a Jordan Davison. Well, yeah, but all right. So here, let's just go to FanDuel because I got to build a team here anyway. All right, it's very obvious we're going this. Then the question is the rest of it. I think that Retzloff's more viable here than he is on DK, so maybe that's where I end up going with Retzloff. God, it's so hard to get away from Lacey. Where's Pringle? Pringle at 6K. Okay. I tell you what, I'm gonna play Pringle on this team for sure. I'm going to play Lacey. I think Wayne Knight's actually a solid value here as well. I know everybody's going to say McClure. I can't do it. I'm definitely not playing De'Aaron Hill for more than Gerard Pringle. I don't want to play Harrison Wallace. I'd 1,000% rather play Concepcion in this spot. I don't think you can play Reed with him. I don't like Benson at that price. I will play Sadiq for sure. That's a lock for me. He's so much better than all the guys in this range. I know that's well, DK Tony's a stone cold lock. Yeah, and I don't think either one. I think they eat each other up, like with Amari Daniels, with those other guys. I wonder if Daquan Wright ends up being the guy, the guy you need at 5,900 to open it up. I know you are saying Winston Watkins. I understand that. I get it. I just don't like it. Jamari Johnson, I think, is fine at 5,500. Lofton's fine. I really want to play the Shackelford team. Don't want to play Shackelford, but I want to play the Shackelford team. FanDuel pricing is very tough at wide receiver. Because, like, do you want to play Tony or do you want to play Concepcion? And then if you don't, are you going down to Bethel Roman? You got 8,500 left. What happens if you put Lacey in? You got 7,500 left. Let's say you play Retzloff and you get Reckless. Now you got 7K. So now you're stuck because now you got to play Bethel Roman and Alexander. That's the one way to play this. The other way is Daquan Wright and 8,100. Stribling or Benson. I mean, you can't play Sadiq with Benson and not have Decory like Dante Moore. What the hell? Losing it. Don't want to play Lofton in that spot. Shackelford sucks, even though I'm debating playing him. Odom, I guess you could technically go Lewis, but he stinks too. God, FanDuel's terrible for wide receiver. Y'all ain't lying. I would be tempted for to get him in there, but then you got to come off Lacey. If you come off Lacey, now you have to get a Ole Miss wide receiver in. So, like, to come off a Lacey, you would need to get a Ole Miss wide receiver, and then you would probably say you're going to want. I mean, let's just say we're going to play Wayne Knight, just for giggles. What if we play Wayne Knight? I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but I ain't saying it's wrong. That's kind of fun. You can. You can. I think you can go Reed over Chambliss. I think Chambliss is what? What does projection have? I mean, Chambliss is 4 points better. Chambliss is 4 points better. So it saves you 2K. What does that get you? Does that get you anything, though? You know what I mean? Because I guess it would. Yeah. Okay. So hang on. Let's play that out. Let's play that out. Let's go there. Let's go there. And then wide receiver. Ugh. Yeah, I know. You have to play Lacey or Chambliss. You can't play neither. So now I can't do this, guys. Like, there's no way I'm playing Shaz Preston. There's no way. So then now I'm stuck. Like, you're dead in the water if you do this. Especially if you wanted to go up another 800. I mean, and then you've got no wide receiver with him, or you'd have to go down 900. Ew. So there is a way. You'd have to do that. You'd have to do that. So that's your two. That would be the two ways I would play it. Is Chambliss and then like a Wayne Knight. But then do I want to play Wayne Knight? I mean, I think this is probably better because the difference between Wallace and Stribling is not much. But at that point, if I'm saying the difference in Wallace and Stribling isn't much, why wouldn't I just do? I could do this. I could do that. I don't think this is a bad sacrifice to make, though, because it gives me Davison over Wayne Knight. So you play a little bit of the. I think this is viable. I don't like playing Retzloff. I'll be honest. I don't like it. I don't feel good about it. That's for dang sure. I guess you could technically play Carson Beck, but that's what I mean. Like, I think this has the most upside from a touchdown standpoint, which is FanDuel based. Touchdowns are king. You got touchdown guy, touchdown guy, touchdown guy, touchdown guy, touchdown guy, touchdown guy, touchdown guy. And you get running quarterbacks out of it. I think this is the most viable as far as upside goes. I probably am going to play this, although it feels awful to fade Keywan Lacey. Feels absolutely awful to fade Keywan Lacey. I mean, that is disturbing. I feel like I'm losing 20 points of equity there. I mean, the man had 33. There's no bonuses, though. Do you go Marcel Reed? So let's just say Reed. Why does it do that? I hate when it does that. Let's say Reed has 22. Chambliss has 30. Can Davison get there? My priors would say that Marcel Reed is the better play here. I think Pringle's a lock on this in this situation. Stribling, Sadiq. The question is all right. So basically, the 3v3 is Craver, Lacey, Reed. Craver, Lacey, Reed. Yeah, Rod, I think that's smart. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you'll know if you're dead coming out of that game on the Davison side. You'll know if you're dead or not. Well, do we think Sadiq's going to have big ownership too? So, like, if we're dead coming into that JMU game, I think, all right, I might have an idea of what I would do there. Okay. So if you play this, I think it's the safe play for sure. So, Rod, that's my theory. So this is why I'm debating this. All right. Here's what I'm debating. We got 30 minutes left. That's good. All right. So I think this is the chalk build, if I was to guess on FanDuel, because you get the Ole Miss guys, you get Retzloff as your bring back, you get the Sadiq play, which is probably the number one weapon on a team that everybody thinks is going to blow another team out. You get Pringle and Craver and Reed, so you get a Reed stack with a Pringle bring back. Even though I prefer Fletcher on DK, it's just personal preference, but I do think that makes a ton of sense. So let's just say I think this is a chalkier build. Stribling, people are probably going to prefer because of the pricing over Wallace. Makes complete sense. 100% agree with that. Craver scares me, though. I think Craver's good for 8 minimum. What is Concepcion good for? Probably 15. So you're losing 7 points of equity on Craver to Concepcion. Lacy. Yeah, but the problem is that Lee doesn't have the same upside that Stribling does. I know Stribling doesn't have the floor. I agree with you on that. What else gets you there? Is it 9? Was that 900 to get to Concepcion? Stribling. If Alexander got you there, I would do it. I would do it if Alexander got me there, but he doesn't. He's only 700, which only gets me to 9K, which is so annoying. I mean, can you really do this? That makes sense. Because if you get 7, let's just say you get 7 out of Lee, and then you get yeah, that's the thing. So from an upside standpoint, so I'm just taking baseline though. Yeah. So like Craver has monster. I think Craver, Stribling, Lacy, or yeah, Craver, Stribling, or Craver, Lacy, Reed is your highest ceiling potential, more than likely. But let's work through this. So like, I mean, we know he's getting 20. Let's just call it 25 just to be safe. But let's call it 25 just to be on the safe side. So let's say Lacy gets you 25, Reed gets you 20, Craver gets you 7. Let's be safe on that end. So that's 52. All right, 52. So let's go Concepcion at 15. Conservative. Davison. I'll be generous and say 15. And just say he finds the end zone at least once with 90 total yards points, let's call it. But it's a possibility he finds it twice. Charlie Weiss is there. That doesn't bother me. So that's 30. But I think that's generous to say that. So let's call it 12 for Davison. So let's call it 12 and 15. That's 27. That would mean Chambliss needs 25. As I'm saying, it's close, man. Chambliss, so like this is extremely close to this. Chambliss, Davison, Concepcion. These two are extremely close builds. Those two. Yeah, I'm gonna play Tony, but I'm gonna play Tony on DK. I'm not gonna play him on FanDuel just for pricing reasons. But let's just say because Chambliss has such a ceiling in this game. And Tulane did a good job of stopping Lacy the first time. I think he had 18 for 68. So that's why I'm willing to fade Lacy. Maybe you get there. And I have so much Lacy on DK that maybe that's the fade. And the reason why I say it's a good fade, let's say you're in a good spot, knowing that Sadiq is going to be extremely high owned in that late game and no running back's going to be there. If you're in a good spot, you're in a good spot. Now, if you're in a bad spot, let's just say Lacy gives you the blade early. You can fade now Sadiq. You can go to Benson, and that's going to give you Wayne Knight. So you have a swap option in that late game to give you an out to say, all right, I'm going to get off of Sadiq. Now, if you play it the other way, your swap out is Sadiq to Moore if Moore plays. and you're going to need more to outscore Sadiq, or in this case, you would need Benson to outscore Sadiq, and that's possible too. Oh, that's hard, man. Oh no, I know it's gross, but at the same time, I think, Rocco Beck's in the portal, boys. Rocco Beck going to Penn State, confirmed. My man is in the portal. He's going for a natty. I just think fading Lacey feels disgusting. I'd rather fade Lacey. I agree with y'all's original take. I really do agree with that. I think going Reed, Lacey, Craver, and Sadiq is the play. I think this is the best play because, like y'all are saying, if I need an out late, I can swap from Sadiq to Decorian Moore and get there. So Gary Bryant's expected to play as well in that one. Yeah, KD win, KD PB. Give me them links, brother. Give me them links. I'll take the extra stuff. 5,700 on Gary Bryant is not a bad price tag, by the way. If you were really trying to punt a wide receiver spot to get, that would get you that could get you the double stack, actually. If you went Gary Bryant here, get you a double stack there. But there's viability in that. I think that's interesting, actually. All right, let's finish this team off. I'm good with that. We're going with that. We're going with that team. I actually do like that Reed build. I'm not opposed to that. I think it's fun build there. All right, what are we doing? I do not like this team whatsoever. Be honest with you, do not like this team. I don't think I want to play it. This team is not going to be a Marcel Reed team. It's got to be something else. Do we want a Retzlaff, a Beck, or a Barnett team? That is the question. Ugh. I mean, there's not much projection difference. I would rather play Barnett than Retzlaff, I'll be honest. And I'm tempted to play Beck. Or do I want to fade Chambliss? There is rumors that Chambliss might not play. Do I want to build a game stack? Do I want to build a Oregon pass stack? Not really. Okay. Let's do a first game stack. Why not? Let's do Marcel Reed and Carson Beck. I think that's a fun way to play. And then we'll fade the running backs for Miami. I think that's viable. And then maybe we'll end up on Wayne Knight. You know what? Let's play Wayne Knight. I need a freaking JMU guy in one of these teams. Daggone it. I need a JMU guy. Dang it. I got to rep the brand. Rep the brand, boys. All right. We could play Bethel Roman and Concepcion. Oh, no, we don't even have to do that. Okay. Well, we could play Concepcion and Benson. That way I get Oregon. We could play Bethel Roman and Concepcion if we wanted to. And that would get us Jordan Davison as our running back. That would be fun. I can get away from the brand if I have to. I can get away from the brand. I'm capable. Let's see here. I could go double Oregon running back. That is disgusting from me. I'll be honest. Let's see here. We could do this, but then, yeah, I don't mind that. But then I don't love the backside of that. I'd probably prefer to, at that point, play 3,700. Man, you know how excited I would be if Keelan Marion was 3,700. I could play Beck doubles with Reed doubles. I actually like this. I don't mind this. I also have the possibility that I could come off of Concepcion, get an extra 600. That would get me to 4,300, which will allow me to go doubles. But then I would have to not go Concepcion, and I'd rather have Concepcion Bethel Roman as a combo. Let me put Bethel Roman here. I prefer that side of the A&M side than to the Beck side. I still really think people are going to like CJ Daniels. I don't like CJ Daniels. Although, I can go Wayne Knight here, and I can go with the double stack of Keelan Marion. That's not a bad shout right there. So then I can get full game stack, and then, yeah, I rep the brand. Rep the brand. Boys, we're repping it. All right, screw it. I'm repping the brand. I got to play the boys, man. Got to play the boys. Wide receivers, Keelan Marion. I like Keelan Marion. I ride with my man. He's good. He's better than CJ Daniels. CJ Daniels sucks. He's going to end up. CJ Daniels is going to be the guy who gives me the blade today. I'll be honest. If you want to win, play CJ Daniels. I love Bethel Roman, and I like Concepcion. So maybe Craver's going to be the chalk. I prefer Bethel Roman and Concepcion. They've played better. I'm playing this because I want to play Wayne Knight on a theme. I like Kewan Lacey. I'm going to buy that A&M Miami shoots out. Give me the double stacks for Beck, the double stack for Reed. The both run games stink. So let's go with that. I think that's fun. That's a fun way to play. We're going to rep the brand. We're going to play the early game. We're going to have the lead coming out of the early slate, and then we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Lineups. So we're rocking a Reed, Fletcher, Lacey, Concepcion, Stribling, Tony, Alexander, and Chambliss team. We're repping a Chambliss, Fletcher, Lacey, Bethel Roman, Craver, Tony, Malik Benson, and Marcel Reed team. Did I pull a stupid move on that? Got to check that one. Make sure I don't have Reed in the super flex because that would be dumb on my part. Thank you, KD Win DB, giving me those free links. Shout out you, buddy, even though I got it on the TV. And then we're going to play Reed, Wayne Knight, because I'm a homer, Kewan Lacey, Bethel Roman, Concepcion, Tony, Marion, and Beck, just for the giggles. All right, I almost made a stupid mistake and played Chambliss as my super flex. Don't do that, folks. Make sure the late guy is in the flexes so you're not an idiot. Because if you do that, and next thing you know, that team ends up scratching Chambliss, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Austin Simmons starts this game. So I'm just telling you, put Chambliss as a super flex because you might have to switch from Chambliss to Austin Simmons. So, and you might get some different stuff there, but just make sure you do that, please, because you really might have to make a swap there. You might need, you're going to want your flex open because maybe you want to swap at that point, and then you got some salary open. Be safe. Be safe out there, kids. Be safe. So, yeah, I'm actually kind of happy I have a Beck team now. I do not feel good about having 3 Marcel Reed teams. I hate myself right now. I don't like Marcel Reed. Obviously, on this team, we're going Chambliss. We're going Lacey. We are going. Where are we going to go? Is this a team? Where do we end up going on the night slate? That is the question. I think you're going Ole Miss Onslaught. Now, where are you going with quarterbacks on this one? I think you need to get the big boys in. I think you need to say, what is pure projection? I don't believe I have a Harrison Wallace team yet, so I'm going to plug Harrison Wallace and just say that Wallace is the man. What does my projections say? Just out of curiosity. Projections would say Wayne Knight and Kenyon Sadiq are about the same. Sadiq's slightly better for the pass catching volume. Knight's better than Davison by a good bit. Benson's the best value, but I don't think they're counting on the little fella being in. DeCorian Moore. You want to have swaps though. I don't want Dante Moore. I know that. Know that much. Do I want Barnett? Do I want Retzlaff? I think Retzlaff does make some sense. Oh, that's a terrible kick. Come on, people. Got to be better than that. Ooh, Dante Moore, about 20-point projection. Retzlaff, 18. Barnett, 17. Points per dollar probably says Barnett. Barnett can be hot, man. Barnett can be hot, but he's going to be hot. He's going to have to run, and I don't think he can run on Bryce Betcher. The smart play is literally this. I know it's the smart play. I know it is. I don't want to do it, though. I know the smart play is this. It's literally this. This is the smart play. Yeah, honestly, it is. It literally is this. This is the smart play. I would hate myself for playing this, but I know it's the smartest way to play this. That fits together too easy. That's going to be the chalk. I mean, there's no way that's not the chalk on the late slate, right? Or, you know what? Actually, there's two ways this is not the chalk. And the only two ways it's not the chalk is if you go from Harrison Wallace down to, because you literally cannot play a two-lane skill player. I mean, let's be honest here. You can't. Do you go from Wallace down to Stribling? I think the other way to play this is this, which I think people are going to do. And it's disgusting, but they're probably going to do this. They're going to play all the Oregon and all of the or you could not play Davison. You could end up on Whittington. They might do this, actually. Whittington, Sadiq. This might be the popular play. That's just it. It's playing it to say that Ole Miss and Oregon just blow these two guys out, and they're actually Make-A-Wish teams, and it buys the narrative of everything that everybody said. That's what this is. Do I want to buy that? I don't know. I did appreciate that everybody said that if JMU was playing Tulane, that they would be that they should beat they would pick JMU to beat Tulane. So I do appreciate everybody saying that. That's nice of everybody. Where do we go with this? Do I really want to play this? It just says Onslaught written all over it. I mean, it makes too much sense. You get Oregon with 2 wide receivers and a running back. You get Ole Miss with 2 wide receivers and a running back. I think this is what everybody's playing on the 2-game late slate. I really do. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But it makes a lot of sense. Well, I know that. I'm just saying. I agree with you. I agree with you. This makes a ton of sense. If this didn't make sense to me, I wouldn't want to play it. I have had people say, though, that if JMU and Tulane were playing, they'd pick JMU over Tulane. More than one person. I don't think Whittington's that good of a play, to be honest with you. I think this is the most popular build. I don't have any Whittington, so that's the only reason why I'm kind of tempted to play Whittington in this spot. I think Wayne Knight's a good play. I really think Wayne Knight is a good play. Now, what you could do, you can go off of Whittington to Wayne Knight. You can go from Benson to DeCorian Moore. So Darren here, I'll show you I mean, it's not exactly the most exciting of rosters, but this is what I'm running on FanDuel. I'm only playing one team in single entry. We debated. So the big debate here, Darren, was Trinidad Chambliss over Reed, Jordan Davison over Kewan Lacey, and Concepcion over Craver was the debate that I had. I think this has more upside than that does, but it was a very tough discussion. It was a very long discussion on that. Let me tell you, I let that one percolate because that one did give me swaps. So your obvious swap here, and I'm saying swaps because you're going to need swaps eventually. So in this situation with this particular build, if something fails, Sadiq's probably one of the highest owned players on the slate on FanDuel. You can swap to DeCorian Moore and you have a swap option. And that's your only swap. But the Chambliss lineup, you have the same lineup. That's funny. So the Chambliss lineup, instead of Lacey, you can drop down to Jordan Davison and then make the decision with that where if you go Jordan Davison there, you have Concepcion, you have the capability to swap Sadiq and Davison into Wayne Knight and either Malik Benson or DeCorian Moore. You have the option at that point to be able to go to either one. If you're behind, if you're ahead, you could just stick with Davison because Davison's going to be like, let's say Lacey fails, then Davison's going to get you there over that because you're basically buying. You got to decide on FanDuel, is Lacey getting there or is Chambliss getting there? To some extent, I think you can play both, but it's very difficult. We did see you could go from Stribling to Caden Lee and up from Craver to Concepcion. I think that's there. I think Caden Lee is the guy that I'm scared of. Personally, I'm playing single entry here. So if I was playing 150, I'd want to get more different. Or if I was playing in the 150 max, but this is single entry. So I'm probably going to end up playing. I'm playing this, but I'm still mentally, it's all in my dome, hating that lineup. I hate this team. I love it, but I hate it. I think it's smart. I think it's an extremely smart build. You're fading both of what the Make-A-Wish teams. Everybody's going to pick Oregon. Keep picking Oregon. I don't even need to hear what they're saying. You keep saying that, boys. Keep saying that. Keep saying that. Yep. Oregon. Can we pick against the spread at least? Like, let's pick against the spread, maybe. Maybe the first half spread. I like JMU in the first half spread. I don't even know what the first half spread is, but I don't bet on my team. Just FYI. I don't bet on my team. That's betting with my heart, not with numbers. This is me hedging against myself. Basically, it's what this would be, even though I really want Wayne Knight. Nice part is, though, is if this portion hit, like the Ole Miss stuff, I can always decide to swap Sadiq over to um, Wayne Knight, or I can swap this to Wayne Knight and I can go to DeCorian Moore right here. I kind of like that I have swap options because I might do this. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm not saying I will. I'm not saying I won't. But I am tempted by this. This could very well be the thing that I end up doing. See what y'all end up running into. See what this is what happens. Y'all end up with a 2-hour show because I don't prep very much. Well, a 3-game slate, I'm not gonna prep very much. Like 13 game slate, I already kind of know what I'm building, so that's why y'all kind of get a different variant, and I'm just kind of ripping through a bunch of teams. But 2 games, man, we gotta dive deep here and get deep in thought. I think these 2 are locks. They should be 100% owned on this slate, in fairness. And then everything else is God knows what you're going to do. This makes a ton of sense, though. And it also gives you the option. You could go off of Sadiq to go to Davison if you wanted. But I think I'm going to lock this in for right now. And then I might swap back to those guys. I can't. This kid's going to drive me insane. I know he had 7 for 77 in the Egg Bowl. He's going to be the guy who ends up killing me today. We all know this. So once again, Darren, play Caden Lee, play Trinidad Chambliss. Please do it, because at least then somebody has that exposure, and I won't feel bad when Caden Lee does bits and goes for 100 and multiple scores. Everything says that he's going to play. I do not. I don't think I have access to Underdog. I'm not sure. But I would do season-long best ball college football. So, Darren, I led off the show by apologizing for that. I only played 1, and it was Sutton Smith in 1 team because the only word I got on Sutton Smith was that DeRozier's was out. So I swapped 1 team to DeRozier's. Otherwise, all of my Cortez Bram ended up going to Brady Cluse, which only got 2 points. And I did some Teddy Hoffman, which actually worked out really well because he had 11. And I ended up finishing top 20 in a tournament because I had Mateer and CJ Bailey on a team comboed. I think it was the afternoon 2-gamer. Yeah, I mean, caching was pretty easy. 60-something% of the field had Bram. I just happened to get lucky to get off of Bram. I found out about Bram being out 2 minutes before the game started, and I swapped everything. I didn't get to swap my FanDuel stuff, but I was behind there anyway because I didn't have Buckley, so I knew I wasn't cashing any which way, so I just said, screw it. I'm going to fix my DK stuff and not fix my FanDuel stuff. So, nice today. You don't have to worry about opt-outs. Good luck today, everybody. I'm going to put this bad boy in. That's probably the way I'm going to end up going right now, and then I might switch to the Oregon run offense. Who knows? But, yeah, good luck to everybody. Enjoy the games today. This is going to be a good set, and hopefully we get a JMU game where they score 13 points. That's all we're hoping for. If I get 13 points out of JMU, I'm going to be pumped. We are going to be – whoa. Rod got some. Oh, yeah. I did not have Burks. I had Satania everywhere with Mateer, but that worked out overall. By the way, Ryan Williams still not anywhere close to the number 1 wide receiver on his own team. The media led you astray. Do not let them do that anymore. I don't think he's a top 10 wide receiver that's returning to college football next year still. So we'll see. But Brian and I will be back tomorrow night recapping the college football games from from today and yesterday. And we'll talk about all the stuff going on and what the games look like for the following week for the next round. Hopefully, we are saying that JMU put up a good enough performance to justify their inclusion. That's what I'm hoping for, but we shall see. But yeah, good luck to everybody in the games this week. And hopefully one of us can take something down and get up there. Good luck.